Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ego and ontological doctrine in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm here with David Fireman, and he's a he's a channeler. He actually talks to the Arcturians, or he has talked to them, and he's actually, in his own way, met them, which is fascinating. So he's got a YouTube channel where he talks about his experiences and certain other things. Pretty interesting stuff. So, hi, David. How are you doing?
Hi, Nicholas. Thank you for having me. I'm good. Thank you. Still recovering. I caught a cold. It's been 2 weeks,
Ah,
but I'm better now. So
it's
excuse me if sometimes I cough or something.
not awakening symptoms, is it?
Hope so.
Yeah. So, so first of all, where are you from?
Hmm. I was born in Brazil, in northeast of Brazil, in a city called Maceió.
Okay. What's Maceió like?
Maceió is beautiful. It's a touristic place, very, very warm. We have no winter there, and
Right.
it's just a fun place to be in. Just sometimes just too hot. I kind of miss like the change of the weather.
Did you move to America?
What is it?
Where
Sorry.
did you move to after Brazil?
I'm in China. I've been living in China for maybe 12 years now.
I don't know how I had America in my head, but there we go. So, how did you end up going to China?
Hmm, 2006, first time. A friend of mine, he came to China and he liked it, so he invited me, and then I was with another friend. We both Sagittarius, so we're like, let's go, yeah, let's go, go, go. And in a month, we just left everything and came to China.
All right. So, you've talked about your experience with the Arcturians. So, for anyone who's
Hmm.
unfamiliar, how would you explain that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say these are beings like consciousness. Maybe they feel like people. They feel like us, just more evolved in moral standards, technology, and spirituality, and yeah, just a higher kind of people. I don't know
Yeah.
how to put it because it's not
It's a
right to
bit
say
like
higher.
the way
Because
I look at it about is that it's like, the idea of the Superman or the Ubermensch that Nietzsche talked about. It's kind of like that in a way. Like they're as much they're like an evolution ahead of us in a sense, but
right,
we're all equal as well, right? Because
right,
yeah.
right. Yes.
So what was your first experience with them?
Well, first I didn't know who or what they were in my first contact. I didn't know what was happening. It was back in 2011. Um, it felt really intense. My body also felt the presence, not only my mind. So many things happening. So many things happened in the contact. It took like, I don't know, 20 minutes. It really changed me. And then it was so intense. I went home. I told my father, my mother, my brother. It was really like I was really into it. I didn't know what they were, but we did have a communication, and they did tell me things. I could ask questions. I saw the UFO. They moved. If you see my video, I also say that I was bilocated. They took me there, and then I saw myself from up there. I mean, so many things happened in the first contact that just left me, speechless. And it took me 7 years to find out who they were, because I also thought they could be angels.
Oh, yeah, if you're Christian, it must be hard to reconcile it, right?
Right. I grew up as a Christian in Brazil. Um, wow. And I, before they spoke with me, I was actually praying. I was gonna get married, and I just wanted to pray, and then like, just God, I want to be a better man. I want to help humanity somehow. Just like really praying to God when they spoke to me. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is angels at first.
Something happened in my physical body. Like I felt something popping up in my brain, which was a bit scary. And I heard the noise. And then when they spoke to me, they spoke in Portuguese. And there was not just one voice, there were many voices speaking the same thing, as if they were like like a choir or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was very intense to hear so many voices speaking the same thing. So I'm like, wow, it is this really happening? And they said yes, and we're here. And they're very fun, and they have lots of sense of humor, and it just felt very natural. I was not scared or anything.
I, can I bounce something off you, right? Because once I
Mm,
woke up in the night, and so I have done a little bit of channeling written down in a journal, but I'm not that confident
mm.
about what I've written. And so I woke up in the night, and I swear I heard, like, in my head, like I was being sung at.
Mm.
So I don't know if that was a visitation or not, but my intuition says yes.
Yeah, it is so hard to believe, isn't it? Even while it was happening, my mind couldn't believe it. And they were talking to me. I was seeing the UFO. I had been there already, and I'm like, oh, why I cannot believe this? It's so crazy. You guys are with me, and I cannot believe.
Were you
And they're
afraid?
not afraid. Just
See,
there was a
I'm
moment I
actually
was a
afraid
little
of
bit
it.
afraid.
There's a difference between you and me then, because I know better than to be afraid of it. But it's unknown, and it's
Hmm.
the idea of encountering aliens. It still scares me, even though I know better than that, right? But it seems you're different from me. I don't know why in that respect. You just seemed
Hmm.
well able to receive it.
I wasn't afraid, but there was a moment I became afraid. And then when I became afraid, I asked them, why am I afraid? I have faith. I know you guys are good people. I'm talking to you. You're talking to me. Why is this feeling emerging? And they said, you are not afraid. You're channeling fear from humanity because you are not just one.
Oh,
You are a collective.
that's interesting. Oh yeah, so it's like the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So when you say I'm afraid, maybe you identifying to the fear that you are channeling, and you're saying that's yours.
But at least it means we're identifying as a collective, even if it means subconsciously, right?
Yeah, we are a collective. They told me so many crazy things, man, that as a Christian, it was really, really hard to believe, but I was receiving that information directly. So why would I doubt, because I could feel the frequency, the love, and how they made me feel when we were talking. But they told me things like, we don't have just one soul. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like,
Is that like I think that might be I've been reading a bit of David Wilcock, so I
hmm,
think that might be like there's a higher soul up there, and then you can incarnate into several lives at the same time potentially, maybe. But then there's the higher
dude.
self as well.
Yeah, it's something like that. It is really a complicated concept. I don't like talking about it too much because I don't understand it 100% myself, to be honest. But from what I can understand is we have a group of souls, and we can be incarnating right here. Like you can be a part of my soul, my group of soul, or maybe my wife or my best friend or somebody that I don't know. And also in my group of soul, I can be like extraterrestrial. I can be different things, different beings, but we're all connected, having different experiences, but just one soul. And that's a bit crazy because I always believed I have one soul, like me, my soul. I'm one. I want to be saved. And actually, we work in groups. We move in groups. We are together. We're stronger together. So this is
Right.
evolution. This is how they evolved, not being separated by like I'm here, I'm
I
individual,
think
but
it's to
coming
do with the
together.
idea, pardon me, but I think it's to do with the idea of fractal reality,
Mm,
a holographic reality where it's as below, so above, as above, so below. So the same patterns repeat on every scale. And so I imagine that it's just as we have inner individual souls, we have groups of soul that in a sense function like a soul, and groups of souls that function like a soul, all the way
mm.
up and all the way down. And it never
Yep,
stops. Does that sound right?
it sounds about right. It's just too crazy, right? I try, like when they start teaching me, I'm like, I'm just gonna receive and digest. I don't want to understand, because to understand, I need to use my mind. And even though I love reading and I love studying, there are things I cannot understand. I'll just be okay with it. So
Well, there's a humility to
yeah,
that.
I'm sorry. Say
There's a
again.
humility to that because I'm like, I want to understand it all.
Yeah, but we can't. We
I
can't
know.
really understand it all. It is about trusting. They've been teaching me how to trust
Mm.
and trust myself, trust my insights, trust my intuition, and not depend on them. Because after the first contact, we became very close for at least a month or two. So whatever I wanted to do, I wanted a signal, like give me a sign, give me a sign that I'm gonna do the right thing, and then they would go and do something. And I'm like, yes, yes, they were still with me. So I was feeling dependent. And they said,
Yeah.
David, we're gonna leave you for a while, and we're gonna talk to you when you're ready. I'm like, no, 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 no. I had to wait 7 years.
It's all relative to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, for them, it could be 7 minutes.
Right. So the next time you met them, you didn't know that you were meeting them until afterwards, right?
Not at all. The second time was much stronger. Um, it was scary, a bit scary, because I saw one of them, and I have a photograph that I took myself, and I don't want to say like, oh, I'm the only one, but honestly speaking, I haven't seen a photograph anything similar to the one that I have taken on the internet or anything. And I mean, I took it, so I know I didn't do anything to it. So I know it's real, and the way that I found the photograph is real because they asked me to look for it, and after I saw the photograph, we stayed in contact for 4 days. I also I channeled something. I channeled that in 10 minutes.
Oh, that's light language, right?
Yeah, I have no idea what it means,
They're
and he
using a little
says,
bit of notes, like musical notes. And they look like a little bit like pyramids, maybe. Oh wow, that's
mm,
fascinating. I'm not going to even claim to know. Oh, but the pyramids they fit together, right? And there's a down facing one, and there's up.
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to claim to know what that is, but I've got maybe a tiny inkling, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, honestly, they just say, David, stay with the mystery, stay with the mystery, and I'm like, oh, I wish you could tell me what it means.
Maybe one day you will understand, and it'll be at the right time.
Maybe, but maybe when we understand and when we know, we kill the mystery. And when we kill the mystery, there's no more fun. There's no more innocence to it. Right.
So they're playing, but in a nice way, because they've got that. You know, there's this idea of the inner child that we lose it because we need serious adults, right? The these aliens, that they understand that there's something special about that creative right brain exploration playfulness,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And they retain that while being adults, and that's something magical, I suppose.
Yes.
And so they're able to play with you, and it's amazing and wonderful, right? I really got a sense of that from listening to your videos, because
Yes.
you're very expressive about your feelings, and you really get it across well, I think.
Thank you. Do you mind if I show you some of my paintings, my drawing?
Go ahead.
This is how they would appear to me. Like in a collective, bluish,
So
with
why have they
some,
got those bubbles inside of them?
because I couldn't really see the face, just like some light,
Because it was so
like
bright.
plasma. Hmm.
So they're Arcturians, are they?
The Arcturians, yes, they are. But this is how I used to see them, not how they are, as a matter of fact.
You saw them like they were greys.
I saw like they were great, even though I had a photograph that it's not, it doesn't look like a gray alien. When I saw the photograph, I saw a gray alien for 7 months. All I could see was a gray alien.
It's
Because,
priming, conditioning, right?
100%. Um, so I would always channel and do
Right.
some like
So that was based on what you
arts.
saw in your mind as well, right? Or was it
Yes,
and
that's
was it also
right.
based on the photograph?
But on both.
There's some art of Arcturians online, and that definitely looks like it. I find
Yes.
them fascinating. And I was wondering if I had some sort of starseed connection to them or something. But in a previous episode I did, I talked to a channeler, and the being they channeled told me that it wasn't Arcturians. And I don't know for sure. You never know for sure of these things. But assuming they were right, then apparently it's actually Palladians I have a connection with. So I don't know. So apparently the connection I made with the Arcturians through channeling was I did myself.
Mm.
I
Yeah, I
just
don't I don't
yeah.
think it's like black and white, like it's either this or that.
Yeah, people
It
put
is it
themselves
is a
into boxes.
it is a multi-dimensional universe, and we are multi-dimensional as well.
Mm.
So I think we have access to different civilizations and even beings of star systems that we don't know or we don't name, because we have like five that we know and say Arcturians, Pleiadians, Sirius, da, 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 da. But what about the million others that are also here and we don't know
Yeah,
about?
there's a confederation of planets and there's a federation of light. That's what I've heard
Hmm.
about. I think they overlap as organizations, but essentially they're trying to help us out at this time. Though not
Yes.
all of them are. Uh
Yes.
because there's like the dark side and the light side, essentially, like in Star Wars, right?
Yes.
Um so it's a good thing that it was
I haven't seen Star Wars.
really.
I haven't watched it. Yeah.
But you can connect with the fundamental archetypes of like
Yes.
good and evil and all of that,
Mm.
because it's simplistic, but that essentially gets to the bottom of what it's about. Are you trying to help others, or are you trying to just help yourself selfishly?
Mm.
That's fundamentally a choice of alignment. uh so have you looked into new age spirituality?
Yes, I have. I was involved a little bit in the few years ago, but then I felt like it was too intense,
Really?
and just people saying a lot of different things, and like I don't want to be part of anything. I just want to be,
You
one, yeah, be me, be one with everything else, but I don't want to like say I'm this or I'm that.
do you feel like people are identifying too much with labels?
100%. And the Arcturians come to teach us that we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to deconstruct. And if we are supposed to deconstruct, why are we identifying more and more? It goes beyond the gender, or or aliens or anything. We are not supposed to say we are one thing or two or three. We are not supposed to say what we are, because what we are remains a mystery. And even for them, they say the Arcturians, but when they say the Arcturians, they are not Arcturians only. This is just something, to satisfy our imagination, our curiosity. They are much more than that.
Yeah. And we want who we are as humanity to be something we continually explore and continually unpack.
Mm,
Why would we have a finalized idea of who we are as human?
exactly. So this is my guide. His name is Dariel,
Huh.
and
Are they the names that they give for your sake, or do they actually use these names?
just for my sake, the name it comes with a code, light code in the name that I can access when I say the name, but they don't use these names themselves. They don't need names.
So it's like you can make a phone call and that code connects you with them.
Yeah, the first time that I asked, he said, "My name is David," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, man! My name is David. What do you mean your name is David?" He said, "My name is David," and I said, "Am I one of you? Are you me?" And he said, "Yes. Whenever you want to talk to me, you close your eyes and you say, 'Is David home?' And if David's home, that means I'm also home. I'm with you too." So I was like, that's crazy. So you're always with me. So maybe I'm you. And he said, "Yes, you are me. I'm you from the future. We're talking." And I'm like, God, it's so hard to understand.
Okay, part of it is that we're all one, and part of it is that time itself is all one moment.
Hmm.
So in a sense, everything is one. Yeah, in a sense, he's correct. I mean, I'm not going. Maybe he knows better than me, obviously, because don't mind. My ego rattles off stuff sometimes. I don't mind it. So yeah, it's fascinating. So, are you able to telepathically talk to him right now at a moment's
I,
notice?
I am. Well, in telepathy, there is just two sides, right? Where you can send and where you can receive. So the moment that I receive information or receive a message, not every time I can ask questions. When I put myself in the receptivity, mode, sometimes I just can receive, and I have no consciousness like, oh, I have a doubt. What about this? But sometimes when my mind is very calm, when I feel like, wow, I mean, this frequency today, I can hold this frequency in my body and I can have a conversation. That is rare. It's not like all of our contacts are like this. It's rare. But sometimes I'm like in the car and I get a message and I'm not even thinking about it. And sometimes I really want to get a message. I'm like struggling and I get nothing. And sometimes, so it varies.
If
It's
they're
not like,
if they're close
mm,
by, do you hear it louder?
like they're here now.
No, I mean hypothetically, do you hear it louder in your head when they're
No, no,
close?
no, 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 no. It's the same. It's very soft. When you have like the intuition, it's the softest voice among so many thoughts. That's how they talk to you.
But is it a sound?
Very, yeah, it sounds like a language. They speak with me in English, Portuguese. Sometimes it comes in a package of information and I have to, decodify. It takes a while.
Right.
It varies. But I'm not the kind of channeler that sits and say, now I'm going to receive it. Dun, 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 dun. I've never done it. I don't doubt it. I don't think it's a lie or they're pretending. It's just not my ability.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what my ability is. I mean, we all have different talents when it comes to this when we start to
Mm,
awaken.
mm. I would like though, just to see it. I think it's cool.
You might be able to one day. We'll see.
Let's see.
Yeah, so I have tried talking to him in my mind. Um, but most of the time it's been something that if I was skeptical, I could just say is my imagination.
Mm,
Um, but there's been maybe like 3 occasions when I've heard something in my head, like, but like it's been like a sound, but not like. I know some people are like, "Oh, you're just crazy. You're going crazy, right?"
mm.
But like, yeah, I've definitely heard something in the night, like I'm being called to it, and I suspect maybe if I don't know, maybe if they're flying by, they might be louder. I don't know. So, I mean, it's the Arcturians. I don't know, something about the way the art that I saw of them looked really interesting.
They definitely work with sounds and these frequencies, and they are very into healing and crystals. So many people experience sounds of different frequencies before or after a contact.
You might be interested in a YouTube channel called Arcturian Light. They do
Mm,
meditations with the Arcturians.
mm.
Yeah. So apparently you can kind of picture yourself as being in like this temple of light on their spaceship, while at the same time you know where you are. And I don't know if that's bilocation or if bilocation is a more intense experience.
Yeah, I also feel this way. Maybe bilocation is maybe when you have two physical bodies, just like some masters could do it. They still can do it. They can just double the bodies and be two places at the same time. But it's hard for me to explain what happened because I really was at two places at the same time.
Okay, so
However,
maybe
when I went back to my body, I lost my strength. Meaning, even though I could see myself from up above, waving at the UFO, when I arrived, I fell on the ground. That means maybe for a fraction of a second, my body up was empty. I don't know, because when I went back to my body, I couldn't stand.
maybe your spirit body swapped places and then swapped back again.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's bilocation, but I could see both the UFO and myself. It was
Yeah,
a
I don't know.
very crazy experience, and being able to feel the team behind me, next to me, and looking down
Did you
and just
feel like you knew them when you were in the ship?
100%, 100%. It feels like family.
Do you think that's because you already had a connection, or is it a sense that you'd have anyway?
I think all humans have star people families, and then once they have these contacts, they can recognize the frequency and say, "Wow, I don't know you, but there's something here that feels very familiar." In my case, it happens with them. With other people, happens with different races or interdimensional beings. It's
Mm.
very, I don't like to say races. They don't like to be called aliens either, because they are like people. It's very hard for us to use the
Peoples,
words. Yeah.
peoples. I think that works
Stop
because you're
people.
right. We've kind of been conditioned to use certain terminology, right? People think of aliens and they think of how pop culture has presented aliens. And
Exactly.
I think that's deliberate. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories necessarily, unless you want to. But
I
I
don't
think there's.
mind. Mm,
Sorry?
I don't mind. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think the you know, how do you put it? The, you know, the Illuminati, the Cabal, or the elites, whatever you call them. Do you think they've been trying to control the way we think about aliens so that people would be more afraid?
Yes and no, because they will use aliens to have more power. Not all aliens are enlightened, and not all aliens want the best for us. So those aliens that are talking to the government and exchanging technology, I mean, they want something in return. The real enlightened aliens, they're not going to be just talking to the government here and
All
there.
right. Excuse me, I'm being called, and I'm just going to have to keep this in the recording. So yeah, all right, give me a sec.
Okay.
Hello. All right. Bye. I've kind of got a problem in that some people have arrived outside. So could you, I'm going to trust you to just give more information about the Arcturians while I'm gone. I will only be like a couple of minutes. All right?
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the Arcturians, when they talk to us, they often communicate core principles of how the universe works. They want to teach us uh, how the universe works. So they share universal laws, and these laws we need some time to digest and integrate, but they're not very difficult to understand.
All right. Well, wasn't as long as I thought I'd be. Okay. So
Welcome back.
what did I miss? It's a secret, is it?
I just said that when the Arcturians talk to us, they usually share like core principles of how the universe works. It's some
Right.
universal laws.
Because they want to make the most of that opportunity, right?
100%.
Are there any snippets of insight that they've given you that you want to share now?
Yes, they say the highest form of teaching is compassion, and that we shouldn't be curious about technology or how things work, because the highest teaching is unconditional love.
Right. That makes sense. That's certainly in my the spirituality I've got into, that seems to be a core value. So, is there
Mm.
anything you haven't mentioned on your channel that you'd like to mention here?
About what
Oh,
specifically?
yeah, about insight that you've been taught by them.
Well, yes, I am the alien.
Explain.
It's me. But I can't really tell people because they wouldn't understand.
Have a attempt it. Have a go.
Well, at the same time that I am here, I am somewhere else and in different bodies, living different lives with different names in different planes and realms of existence.
How many of us are doing this?
We are all doing this, but most of us are not aware.
So we're all aliens.
100%.
So, you know, I have an attachment to, at least I feel I want to experience humanity awakening and we, you know, reaching out for the stars and making its own, showing who we can be, you know, rather than just simply enslaved and controlled and in conflict. I want us, I want to be part of humanity awakening and being who we were really who we really came here to be, right? You can
Yes,
identify with that.
yes. I mean, we want to see the change. We really want to, but we're not supposed to do much. I think people are very addicted to action, doing, 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 sharing, 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 doing, and we're not supposed to bring peace. We're supposed to be peaceful because the earth is already at peace. It is us that are not peaceful ourselves. So when we want to bring peace, when we want to make the right thing, we end up doing the opposite.
All right. So we need to stop doing the unpeaceful things and the uncompassionate things.
It is really about being. When
Simply.
you are peaceful, uh, when you are peaceful, for example, right now I am peaceful. I'm talking to you. I'm feeling peaceful. When I am peaceful, not only I I tap into the field of the collective humanity and I share peace with the collective, but my also multidimensional beings, which is who I am in totality, they also receive this peace. So we connect, and what is happening now is we are integrating in this 5D consciousness all of our aspects of ourselves. We're becoming one. So if you're not peaceful and your fifth dimensional self is peaceful, there isn't a match. You see, it doesn't matter if you want to be peaceful, but if you're not, it's not matching. So it is really about relaxing. And relaxation is an art. It's not very easy to do, I understand, but we have to practice. Relax, relax, soften, 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 and things fall into pieces by themselves. It's not about we are gonna do this, I'm going to do this. This is the ego talk. It is
Yeah.
just things are gonna happen. You just relax.
Before you met the Arcturians, you had been praying and in your own way meditating for a number of
Mm.
years. How did you learn? What methods did you learn to? What are the core things, the most important things that you learn that allowed you to be more at peace?
Faith, I guess. Faith that everything happens for a reason, that I'm supposed to be grateful, even though something bad may be happening, that it's not fair to life to be happy and grateful when I receive something great, and when something bad comes my way, and then I'm not grateful and I'm complaining. Just when I'm in a state of, being positive and grateful for whatever happens, when a baby's born, when a friend of mine passes away, just say thank you, I trust. That that brings me peace. It makes me peaceful. Like I cannot control stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, how do you deal with negative emotions when they bubble up?
I embody them.
Do you allow yourself
I,
to feel them?
100%. I feel them, uh, and then they pass, and I know that what I am is not whatever moves through me, but what remains. So I am peaceful. But if there was like sometimes I get a little bit crazy, some disturbance, yeah, why not? Let it pass, let it go through me. I won't hold it in my body, I'll release it.
Okay, so how do you make sure that you release it? You just simply don't fight it.
I embody the negative energy. I'm not afraid of the negative energy. If I feel angry, I scream. If I feel upset, I put my upset face, and it I'm not trying to control my emotions, man. You know.
Hmm, that's
I don't
fascinating.
claim I don't claim to be enlightened as some masters are, because these masters, they are on another level. They are like they have reached a level of exalted beings where they no longer feel any disturbance in their minds, and I know it is possible. It's not my case, so I'm not gonna pretend I'm untouchable, you know. And
Right. But at the same time, like I can tell that you're more at peace than I am. And because what you're doing is more in between, it's more approachable. So maybe I can actually learn from you quite a lot because it's not so far ahead of where I'm at that I can more easily apply what your methods maybe. Whereas sometimes with like Eckhart Tolle, it's great, but sometimes it's like, how do I even approach that? You know?
You know what, Nicholas? I feel like you're reaching something very special. I can feel it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Get ready.
All right, all right. Did you mean my vibration?
Yeah, I mean, like I had a vision just now, like you getting very close to like a gift, wrapped up gift. Like you're gonna open, you're gonna see something very nice, very amazing, you know.
All right, all right. Thank you. I'll let myself be surprised.
Mm.
You see, I'm glad I did this. Yeah. So, what do you feel right now that you want to share?
Mm. Just being here with you is very heartwarming. You know, I feel at home. I feel like we know each other.
Really?
Yeah, and just I feel grateful. There isn't like an Arcturian message coming through or anything. It's just it feels very nice to be here and share. And I really appreciate you reaching out because that's actually my first podcast ever. Um, so it's nice to talk about these things.
Yeah.
I
I'll
don't
be
really
honest.
talk that much to people about it.
Yeah. So far, the videos have been your main way of processing it in a way, and
Mm,
now you're talking to me about it. I suppose that must be quite meaningful. I
yeah.
admit to you that I don't actually have that many people following me so far.
Mm,
Um, yeah, not many people at all. But I can tell it's going to, I'm going to get a lot of people following, which is good because I want to be helping people.
mm,
Do you think that even if people don't directly listen to it, like that maybe by simply speaking our voice, that in the field it has more of an impact than we realize?
100%, Nicholas. Yes.
All right. That's good to know. So I have been told, I think that I have no idea how much I've actually done. Um, yeah, I was told by the Arcturians that. And it's funny talking to someone who, because a lot of people they would scoff at the idea of it, but and I have actually held off on channeling recently because I feel a bit because I know I've got all this ego stuff that I've been dealing with, including negativity, right? So I feel like I don't want to be interfering with what I'm getting and that sort of thing. Um, do you have any advice for me about how, or anyone who might be channeling or be interested in starting it, like, or interacting in any way with aliens, I suppose? Like, how do
Yeah,
we deal with
take it
this?
slow, baby steps. Take it slow. And I don't like to use words like it's dangerous, but in a way, it is a bit dangerous when you don't know, when you have no discernment, and you just, oh, I want to connect, because your vibration will attract what you are going to connect with. So if you're being very negative, very fearful, and you still want to have a connection, maybe you will end up attracting a being that will just pretend they are something, but
I have had that more than once.
Me
I
too.
and I'm writing something down, and I realize I'm starting writing something else, and I'm like, okay, so, and then I check, like, I could read it out actually. I could check an example when I read it out, where I'm like, oh, I need to find an example, but I asked, like, are you in the love and light of, are you service to others, right? And if when I see no being written down, I'm like, fuck. um, so I asked them to leave, and generally you can deal with it with a combination. If you have a combination of love and courage, I feel like you can deal with it. Whereas if you freak out, that's the worst thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, we are not supposed to make things happen, Like when I had my first contact, I wasn't begging for a contact. It happened after 7 years. During these 7 years, I was meditating a lot. I was doing a lot of things, a lot of reading, and I was begging for a contact. It never happened. So when I was in Bali on vacation, it happened. I mean, I didn't ask for it. So we're not supposed to make things happen, because that's why you said, oh, can you connect right now? Well, yes, because I am the alien. But at the same time, if I say, yes, here's a message, so the ego will feel powerful. Oh, I can connect. So we're not
Good point.
supposed to, to make this happen. We're supposed to be, and when we are loving, and when we are peaceful, and when we are loving kindness and light, things will happen on their own accord, and we will be surprised. And that's the beauty of it. They want to see our real expression, our real feelings. They don't want to see like, oh, they made it happen, so they're very proud now because they contacted us. No, they want to they see, like, as a kid, like, what is this happening? Oh my god, like very, like original and true feeling. So my advice is, take it slow and just practice being you, 100% you. There is something that I want to share now that it comes to mind. It is about contracts that we make, and we have made with dark forces in previous lives, previous previous lifetimes, or different dimensions and timelines. And because we are now in this time of integration, there is a battle, right, of forces. And many of us are being called to return to the old ways. And when we work with darkness, supernatural powers comes like that. It's really easy to make things manifest, and because it is like a currency, like, oh, you see, now you're powerful. Now give us this, give us that. And when we work with the light, we want to see things and we want to make things happen, and it doesn't happen because we have to practice patience and all the virtues.
Because we get it easy because we don't realize what we're sacrificing on the dark
Yeah.
path. Whereas the easy path, no, the light path,
Mm.
you need to earn it through service to others. That's the currency, instead of the currency
Yes.
being damaging your soul.
Yeah.
So really, it's definitely worth it to have the patient light service to others route, but some people, I mean, I feel like when this great awakening, I mean, people who've been playing with dark forces, I feel like
Mm.
they're going to, I feel sorry for them, because then they're ultimately suffering for their own arrogance, and it's going to be all for nothing, because the awakening is going to be a victory for the light, and that's what I sense as happening. So yeah, and I feel like we have to try to, when it comes to people like Bill Gates, or people in the elites who've done terrible things or whatever, like, we've got to try to empathize with them, because it's all too easy to be like, oh, they're terrible, right? But we've got to believe that they can be saved. And if we don't believe that, how can they believe that? What do you think?
Yes, I think you're right. Honestly, I don't really pay a lot of attention to what's going on out there and with the powerful ones, because even though it is our reality collectively, it's not my reality. My reality is this place right now is you. My wife, she's singing in the bathroom.
Oh,
My cat is here. Um, and we need to be grounded in our reality. When we pay a lot of attention to what's going on, not only we identify with roles that we have to play in this life, but we end up judging and be anxious, developing a lot of negativity here. And we have to just be here, be grounded. If you speak to a Zen master about Bill Gates or the president of the United States, they're gonna say, Shh, no, 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 no. Stay
this
here,
this
stay
to the
here.
wind, right?
Yeah, like stay here, because there is such a beautiful wisdom in our body in this moment. And in the Arcturians say, David, yes, there are portals over there, but you are the gateway. You are the portal. So don't be distracted looking for anything outside of you. Every time you look for something outside of you, you're giving away your power. Every time you want to find something that's out there, you're giving away your power. Everything's inside. So you have to close your eyes and see. You have to, give yourself some time, spend time with yourself. And when I finally realized I am the portal, I'm like, woo, I am the galaxy. I am the central sun. I am. And he's like, yes, yes, yes. This is the power you have. I'm like, fuck, it's so powerful. And he's like, yes, just remain there, remain in this power. And it was not easy for me because growing up as a Christian, Jesus was everything to me.
There's
And Jesus,
Jesus and Satan, right? And you give away your power one way or the other to them. And I have a sense that with science, we've also done that in that we've given away to these impersonal forces of physics, right?
yes,
And there's stuff to do with that law of attraction and how we fundamentally shape reality with our own beliefs or unconsciousness. It takes getting used to, doesn't it?
yes, it does. I asked them about Jesus, and they said, Jesus is alive and he doesn't work alone. There are hundreds of thousands that live just to serve him and work with him, and we are one of them. And I said, what about God? Who's God? And he said, David, let's say we from where we are, we see a light and we are going that way. Would you like to come with us? And I'm like, yes.
Oh, I like that.
So let's go. So I like it. They didn't say anything, like, what can you talk about God, man? You know? There is something also very peculiar about the Arcturians. It feels to me like they have these worshiping spirits. So sometimes when they talk to me, they speak Hebrew and they say Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tsabayo. It's like highest, like just giving praise and honor to the great God of the universe, because there is the maintainer, the keeper of the universe, and they have so much respect and love for him, her,
These
and I
all these
love and
different
I
levels.
love it.
And
Yeah,
however high up they are to us,
I
they
just love it
themselves
because
are
they
just
are
humble children.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They are so evolved that they could be like worshipped by people, oh, angels, but they worship because they know there's something much higher than they are. And these are fifth to seventh dimensional beings. So I'm like, woo, it's wonderful.
But there's a long way up. But that's a good thing because it's going to be fantastic awakening and rising, right?
Mm,
Because
mm.
we've been. It's like I can't remember who he called at the moment. Um, there's a channeler, and what they say is, suppose you've been rowing backwards. That's basically making your life more difficult for yourself, creating more resistance, all the things that we advise not to do. A lot of us have been doing these things, and then suddenly you start rowing forwards. Now what you have is this great leap forward, right? And suddenly it's like amazing. Now that's what you kind of have when you get out of a dark night of the soul. And I feel like humanity is coming into a collective experience of that, and it's going to be amazing. It won't last
Yes.
forever, but it's okay. We're going to come out of a dark age, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, I like your enthusiasm.
So, why do you think they like Hebrew?
I don't know. I read somewhere they like Hebrew, Chinese, and a few other languages.
Sanskrit?
Sanskrit, yes.
It's certain languages I suspect are closer to light language. I think that there's a sort of language, I don't know, but I sense there's a sort of language that's made of light, essentially, that's used by different alien races to talk to each other. And I sense
Yes.
that there are certain languages on Earth that are closer to that. Perhaps Sumerian, perhaps
Yes.
Sanskrit, perhaps Hebrew, maybe Egyptian, ancient Egyptian, that is. And that these languages, maybe they taught those people those languages. And since then, languages have diverged away from that. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does.
That's why these languages, they sound, when you get this chanting in like Sanskrit, like a yoga, like it sounds magical, like actual sound of creation. And when I hear light language, it sounds so similar. And to these languages, I don't think it's a coincidence.
You grew up as a Christian?
Actually, no. I pretty much grew up without religion. I grew up
Okay.
as really atheist. My mum was an atheist. My parents were both atheists, pretty much, or my dad was agnostic.
Are you
And
f- are
I
you
came across the God
familiar?
Delusion of Richard Dawkins and stuff like that, and I was 16.
Okay.
So I was like completely a non-believer in every respect. I mean, okay, no. When I was young, I looked at the gravestone. I thought about my granny, and I was like, that was the extent of it. But yeah, I went from pretty much non-believing most of my life completely to discovering new age spirituality, and it was like this huge, amazing thing for me, because when I realized it was true, or when it clicked with me, this for me it was the raw material. I'm not sure if I've heard of it or not.
Right. Yes, I haven't read it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah,
I read a few
when
things here and
yeah,
there.
when I did the research into that, I was like, this actually makes sense. So yeah, and that blew me away, because I had to be ready, though. I had to get into conspiracy theories and certain things. I was too close-minded for a long time to actually consider it. So I was exposed to it for at least several months before I. What did you ask me again? Sorry.
Now, you know when the Christians they speak those in tongues. Um, have you ever thought that could be light language?
Which Christian tones? You mean like hymns?
No, like Pentecostal Christians.
What, like? I don't
So
know.
if you go online and check when they speak in tongues, they just do these different sounds
Oh,
and speak in
okay.
languages that do not make any sense. I
Uh,
wonder
tongues.
if that could be
That might be
light
some kind of
language.
channeling or light language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, I can look that up.
You know, when I was a Christian, on my birthday, 15th birthday, um, I was, as they call, baptized with the Holy Spirit. And it happened in the middle of the street. And I spoke in tongues for maybe over an hour. And I can always be like, when I close my eyes and remember that experience, I'm always very, like, wow, that was real.
What was the
I didn't.
vibe? Was it a positive or a negative vibe?
100%, that just took over my body, and I just couldn't stop talking in different tongues, different sounds, and at that time my parents didn't know I was a Christian, because I accepted Jesus, like in a secret, because whole family story. So I went back. It was my birthday. My family was there waiting for me to celebrate with me. But I was really late because I was outside in the middle of the street just
Speaking
speaking
in
in
tongues.
tongues.
Well, I mean, that's hard to explain to your parents. Why are you so late? Oh, I don't know. I was just angels were speaking through me.
You know what? By
Oh,
the time I got home, they had already left, because they took my aunties, back to their home, and there was nobody at home. So I opened the door, speaking tongues, and if they were there, man, they would have seen me and heard me. I couldn't control myself.
oh
So
man, that must have been that must have been quite an awkward experience.
yeah, it was really interesting, because after I learned about these light languages, and I'm like, that feels very familiar. It feels like I can do that. And I see more and more people sharing these online, and I'm like, nice, I like that. Well, do I speak light languages every day? No. Sometimes, no, I never do it. But can I? Yes. I know I can. I know it's in me. But this is not. I mean, if it's not serving any purpose, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me when I see people do light language because it seems like they're doing it independently. Now, I mean, you could say if you're skeptical, oh, they looked it up and they imitated it. Maybe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I sense that people are just doing it intuitively and it happens to be the same because they're tapping into something in common.
Hmm. It is like the this channeling with the mystery. Once we really speak like light language, and we're not trying to understand what we're saying, something happens in us, where it's just the mystery takes over, and it's just pure expression. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's valid.
I've still got this instinct in me or this part of me that's like, I want to understand. I want wisdom. I want,
Mm.
maybe it's just how I chose to incarnate, what kind of mind I chose to have. I don't need to be limited by it, but at the same time, like I guess I want to serve through wisdom. That's I don't want to. I'm aware there's a part of me that wants to be like power prideful about it, and I have been prideful about
Mm.
intelligence in the
What's your
past.
zodiac sign, man?
All right. I'm Leo on the cusp of Virgo,
Okay.
and apparently I was born with Mercury coming in. So 21st of August 1989. So if anyone hears this and knows more, they could tell me what it means.
Nice,
So what
nice.
do you know about astrology then? What can you tell me?
I've been studying astrology for the past a few years, but maybe the cusp of Virgo that you mentioned, I think that makes sense that you want to understand, and I think that's something to look into. I don't think there's nothing wrong with understanding. We have intellect. We're not supposed to deny it. We're supposed to use it
It's just
to
so
the
many
best
people
of our
over,
abilities.
yeah, that left brain. I mean, it's probably when I interrupted you, that's probably part of that overly active left brain sometimes, where it's like you're
Hmm.
trying to intellectually make sense of it and you're just being too analytical and neglecting the creative side. This is interesting because I have I've been diagnosed with Asperger's. I won't identify with it too much. I've also been
Hmm.
diagnosed with ADHD, but they're different. One seems more of a left brain thing. One seems more of a right brain thing. And so like, yeah, if I'm not careful, I could just neglect my creativity, but I know I'm creative, right? So overanalyzing things, just going into the details of everything, like it's easy to do, especially for me, because I'm quite analytical. I can be quite analytical, but like I don't need to be. And yeah, I'm just aware of that potential in me. So, and I've been unbalanced in terms of the energies, masculine to feminine energy or whatever. Like, so I'm just, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, you are creative. You've created this moment we here, and you did it. So 100%. I think it's beautiful to be analytical and try to understand things. But back then, when I said we cannot understand everything, I say this because I cannot understand everything. So this is my reality. Some people, like I know some gurus, and they are Virgos. And dude, this guy, he can tell you 100. He understands everything. So it's not like me. He can explain to you with so many analogies that you will say, okay, now I understand. This is not me. So it's not my reality. So I say, try. My advice is don't try to understand everything. But if you
Okay.
think you can, I just say go for it, man, because it is possible.
What are Virgos good at then?
Well, analyzing, structuring, and being grounded, detailed,
Are they disciplined?
attentive. Yes.
My parents are both Virgos.
Oh, wow. Both. And you were Leo.
Yeah. So I've got Virgo influence from my parents and Virgo influence from being late Leo. So,
Mm.
but at the same time, and I've got Asperger's, which makes me analytical. ADHD is more creative, I suppose. I'm over labeling perhaps, but I mean, this is me. I mean, with anyone, they've got a unique time they're born. Well, I mean, not to say
Yes.
unique, but the time you're born, it's not just what time of the year, what year, right? And what time of the month or whatever. It's also like a particular moment in cosmic history when the planets are in different positions and how it all fits together. And you chose that moment before you incarnated
Yes.
deliberately for a reason. It's like, RPGs,
Mm.
when you choose your character, you choose your class or whatever, right?
Mm. Mm.
I would say that it's like that, but it's more the other way around. RPGs are like reality in that, yeah, you choose your life before you live it, in a
Yeah.
sense.
I think we choose the tools that we will have
Yeah.
to try to understand our reality and co-create our reality.
What's
So
your star
yeah,
sign then?
I'm a Sagittarius.
What a Sagittarius is like?
Um, free, loving, expanding, and just fun, a little bit crazy. My rising sign is Aquarius, which is related to ufology and ETs
Huh.
and being different.
Oh yeah, Aquarius is a key one, especially in this new age we're coming into, right?
Yeah.
So what can you, for anyone who's unaware, could you lay out what a rising sign and what a falling sign is?
A falling sign.
Well, I assume since you get rising signs, you get falling signs. But what's a rising sign?
Well, I think it is what we want to achieve in life, like what we are going towards to, the things we want to develop, and the way we want to be,
All right, but
like the
that's
skills
what
we
it
want to have.
right. That's what the consequence of it. Like, but how do you know what your rising sign is?
It is, according to the time, it is the sign that was rising on the east. So it changes every two
When
hours,
you
I
were
think.
born.
Yeah.
I did work it out in more detail, and I recall that Mercury was the sign that was rising. And each sign has effects, if I'm correct, on your. You have a star sign, and then it's affected by different signs that are rising. Is that true?
Yeah.
So if you're
Mercury.
Sagittarius in Aquarius, essentially, an Aquarian Sagittarius. Is that right?
It's a little bit complicated. There are two different schools of astrology:
Okay.
the traditional, and the more modern one. So sometimes they say different things. For example, like Scorpio in the modern astrology, Venus, and in the traditional they don't say Pluto, they say Mars. Um, Not Venus, just Pluto, and then they say Mars. So it's sometimes it's a little bit different. When you say Mercury was rising, Mercury is a planet, so maybe the it could be Gemini. So that will be your rising sign.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't really matter where the. Is it about where the planets or moons, whatever, are? Or is it just about where certain segments of sky are relative to each other?
I think both. It is like a photograph of the of the cosmos, and boom, suddenly becomes your signature. So
Okay.
whatever was going on is relevant.
Essentially, yeah, it's what the relative positions of this. So is the modern one based on more modern understanding of the planets and the moons?
Yeah, and with the discovery of the new planet as well, like Uranus.
You know, I suspect that the modern one maybe we can learn from both, you know.
Hmm.
But I don't see why, you know, if we discover new planets, it makes sense to me that we can account for that. But something I've come across in David Wilcock's book, The Synchronicity Keys, he talks about this idea of imagine there's energy that, from the sun, and it affects the whole solar system, and different segments of sky are affected energetically in different ways, and the whole thing
Hmm.
rotates. So these positions of different energies are different points. Now, Mars and different stellar bodies or whatever, different not stellar bodies, different planets or whatever, can
Hmm.
manifest certain energies, but they don't have to be that ones doing it. Now, there used to be a planet, Maldek, that probably around the asteroid belt before it became the asteroid belt. It was a planet.
Hmm.
And that probably would have manifested um one of the star signs, or no, well, yeah, one of those signs, right? But now something else fills its place, but the same function is still served, and it's still more or less the same, even though the planets are different. Maybe, but at the same time, I know that Mars was quite. The Martians themselves, from what I hear, were quite martial, but maybe they were martial because they were on Mars. I don't know, but
Hmm.
essentially, like, so yeah. I would
You
say
know,
you don't need
hmm.
to be exclusive when it comes to astrology. One school, the other school, they're probably wisdom both.
I think so. Astrology is quite complicated, and I don't claim to know a lot because there are so many books and they're very
Yeah,
thick, and it's
I
very mathematical, and I hate math. So,
yeah, but the thing is, from what you do know, and I can access your intuition as well, which is key in intuition, I can tell. I'm just you know certain things, and I haven't gone that much into astrology yet, so I would like to go through the different star signs and what you know
there
about
is there
astrology.
is something very funny and interesting about gemstones and astrology. Um, like some planets, they vibrate in different frequencies, right? And according to our map, sometimes they may be beneficial or detrimental to our lives, right?
Based on our star signs.
Yeah, and some gemstones, they vibrate in a similar frequency of those planets.
Right.
So in India, they found a way to see what gemstones you need that will match the same frequency of the planets they are detrimental to you, and they will harmonize your karma, your astrological karma.
If you have them on you,
If they are touching you, exactly, they must be touching your body.
your karma,
Yeah,
astrological karma, a
yeah.
particular kind of karma.
For example, in astrology, two planets are considered malefic, bad planets. It's Mars and Saturn, because they're very heavy and they bring like
Yes,
stuff that not very easy.
Mars is the god of war. Cronus is the god of time that tried to eat.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway,
So, for example,
whatever reason.
say you look at your chart and say, "Wow, my Mars or my whatever planet is in whatever house, and that's really bad for me. So, how can I try to change this?" So, it is like a shortcut that great mystics of the past found out, astrologers of the past. So, they realized that yellow sapphire they resonate with Saturn,
Right.
and the garnet or ruby they resonate with Mars. So they would check how bad it is in your charts, and they will say how many carats the gemstones need to be. And then they have something called nine gemstones bangle, something they put on your arm, and the gemstones touching you. And many people say that once they have this, wow, their life changed because suddenly they have a shortcut. So that's quite interesting. I love this idea because I'm a
Yeah.
gemologist and I've been collecting gemstones for many
Right.
years.
What
So I
fascinating
think
to
it's
me
really
is
nice.
what fascinates me is that it shows that it's all about the vibratory energies.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now that's something that Tesla understood. That's
Mm,
something. So if it links us with Tesla, and it links us with, because like string theory talks about different vibrations of different strings. It links us with string theory, probably quantum physics.
mm,
All these things are linked together in mysticism, and in my opinion, it all connects together. Now, mainstream
yes,
scientists don't want to accept it necessarily, but
yes.
yeah, it all fits together, and I really like it when I see these puzzle pieces and I see how they fit together in a new way that I didn't see before. I particularly like that.
Mm, me too, man.
Yeah, so the Aquarius sign for you makes you drawn to ufology and mysteries and stuff.
Yes, yes, 100%. I feel it. Aquarius rising 100%.
Do
I
you
was never
feel
really into ufology before, just after the contact. I
right?
didn't care about it.
But do you feel the coming conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius?
Mm, yes,
You feel it in your bones.
I feel it.
How do you feel?
I feel like it is going to be a special moment, and because we are in a multidimensional universe, it has already happened. It is like the event, the so-called event that's about to come. For some, it has already arrived. For others, there will be a specific date and time.
Do you mean it depends on your timeline?
It depends on your timeline.
So I don't
Like I've
know
been,
how good a timeline we're on.
yeah, like different people have different timelines, even though we're coexisting in this now moment. Some people they live in such timelines that they have like visitations from aliens in physical form every day. So it is unbelievable for us because we say, no, maybe that's only in the future, but the future has arrived for some of us. And I feel like this conjunction is going to be a beginning, definitely a beginning of something great that's about to come. But when I say something great's about to come, I also mean something bad's about to come,
Great is insignificant.
because this is the realm of duality. So when we say something amazing, at the same time something horrible, there will
It's a
be always
great
both.
clash of energies, positive and negative, and so forth. And the result of that clash will be what we get. But we have the power to affect and control. I won't say control, that's the wrong word. We have power over our own lives, right?
To co-create, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we can't forget that, because if we externalize, we'll be like, oh, the aliens will save us. Oh, Q will save us. Oh, you know, Trump or whatever
Not
you
gonna happen. Not gonna
as
happen.
we are the co-creators of our reality, and we must not forget that.
And this is where many people make this mistake of, like waiting and just pointing and waiting and making themselves like victims because they don't want to take responsibility
Waiting
for
has an
what they're
energy.
doing.
That's not what I said. That's someone I follow on YouTube said that. And it's true. Like the emotional state you're in, there are some emotional states that disempower you.
Yes.
And I've done it. I've made mistakes. I've been disempowering. You know, I've definitely like created my own resistance, and even relatively recently I've had occasions where I've slipped and I've got into ego and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, here. Same here.
I guess it gets easier to pick yourself up every time the more you learn.
That's right.
So I'm not sure how much longer you want to go. I mean, we could go into all the different star signs, but I feel like maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe what do you say that you want to, what do you feel you want to share?
Well, that's whoever's listening should not worry about what's to come, because what happens to some people may not happen to them, and they shouldn't like be anxious about what's to come. Just trust. It is a lesson to trust the existence, to trust this moment, trust our power, ourselves, and try to be, in this feeling of trusting more and more. Wake up trusting your life, wake up trusting existence. As we develop trust, I think even when something so-called bad happens, we don't see this as bad anymore because there is trust to it. And if we want to go and make the shift to the fifth dimensional consciousness, there cannot be any duality anymore. And we cannot just keep labeling things and saying this is wrong, this is right, this is like that. It is like integration. And when you integrate, you see the whole picture. And when you see the whole picture, you cannot label, you cannot judge. So just trust whatever happens to you, trust. And as you trust, you're able to see better and feel better about things and about the world, because the world is ready, like earth is ready to make the shift. And we've been waiting for so long, many of us haven't to be in this planet for so long, and now we're here to make the shift. And why would we fear? Like so many of us, we have this feeling since we're kids, like I'm here for something special. And when suddenly when this something special is coming, everybody's like freaking out and trying to avoid and postponing this moment. I don't think we should do that. Just relax in this moment. This is what we've been waiting for. So just trust.
We came here for this.
Yeah.
You know, that was beautiful. And it was a great interview, and I can tell you enjoyed it as well. So
Yeah, I did, man. Thank you so much.
I would gladly interview you again.
I would love to.
All right. Well, have a nice day.
You too. Thank you so much. And be at peace, man. And have a
Yeah,
great day.
you too. Bye.
Bye bye.